Hey everybody, it's John, owner of the Simplest Biz. Very important video today. But first, subscribe to this channel, like this video if you find it informative, ring the bell on the YouTube channel, and also go to either thesimplestbiz.com or the simplestbiz4u.com/info. That's FOR, the letter U.com/info to get more information once you've watched this. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and what we're going to be discussing today is we're going to compare your current situation with either your salary or your hourly wage and compare it with a calculator. We'll pull that out, and we're going to compare it to how the Simplest Biz works. And the reason I'm doing this, I got a couple posts the other day inside the Facebook group. I want to share those with you real quick to give you an idea of why I want you to understand this and how important it is. Okay? So let me switch over real quick. And there is a quote in my course in the training, the Simplest Biz Training. If you're interested in it, we'll talk about that later, and you'll have links below this if you want to get more information about the training. I've always loved this quote from the course: units for money versus time for money. I made 6 months of salary in 1 month. Sometimes I make an old week salary on one delivery. Thank you. So I wanted to share that one. Then another one, just to show you the progression. It's the same individual. Ford Explorer truck, trailer to box truck to adding semi-loads. So he's showing the growth of his business as he's gone through the course, learned the material, started building it out, and the growth of him allowed him to go from a little pickup truck all the way up to semi-loads, okay? And why that is. So we're going to pull the calculator out here. I'm going to pause this for a second, and we're going to go through scenarios with what you're possibly stuck in or a situation you're in, and then compare it to why this model works in the way it does, and the money that's available to be made by working this model compared to what you're doing. And the fringe benefit is the time freedom that comes along with it. Okay, so I want to make it crystal clear and give you some real world examples on this particular scenario, and I think it's important that you listen. All right, let me pause for a minute. I'll switch over. All right, let's start with a couple examples of common situations that people are in as far as their JOB and they're working 40 hours a week, maybe 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Now, a lot of people are on salary, and sometimes, I put 40 hours a week, and sometimes that's more than 40 hours a week. In a lot of cases, it is. The businesses out there sometimes take advantage of you, and you're getting paid a flat salary, but you're working more than 80 hours a week. 40 hours a week. So let's just do that math real quick. $800. Well, that's easy. That's an $800 a week job, right? For 40 hours worth of work. Let's finish this second example real quick, and then we'll switch over and compare it and versus the Simplest Biz pallet business. Okay. $18 a week, 18. And then we're going to multiply that by 40 hours. So that's $720 a week. So that equals $720. Okay, so we got a baseline now for these two examples. This one $800 a week. This one's $720 at $18 an hour. Now, this one's going to average out to around $20 an hour if you get away with the 40-hour work week. So now I'm going to pause, and we're going to switch over to the pallet business and run through some scenarios so you understand how you can multiply yourself with this business and compare it to the amount of time it takes and the money you can make doing this. And I'll even take into consideration the scouting and the time it takes to scout for a business, okay? And throw that in because, there's some time involved. I'll guide you to the types of places you need to deal with and the businesses you need to deal with and what to say and everything about the business and how to work it. But I want to include in these numbers I'll use with the pallet business the hours it may take you to actually secure that client, but the magic that happens on the backside of that effort. Okay, so let me pause for a second. We'll switch. So now let's break down the pallet business and the features that come along with it, right? So I'm going to give you an example. 150 pallets, nothing crazy. 150 pallets from a business that needs them, that are ordering them, and you're picking them up from a business that supplies them, that generates pallets as a byproduct of their business. And sometimes you'll have 2 suppliers to 1 buyer. You know, you're getting 100 from one and 50 from another. And sometimes you'll have a supplier that can generate enough pallets to supply several businesses in a close proximity as well. So let's just go by this example and compare it. So if I'm able to move 150 pallets free and sell them to $6 a piece, very normal. And let's even throw in the fact that it took me 2 hours to scout that business initially. Okay, so we'll even throw that in as far as time it takes to get it done. So 150 times 6, 150 times 6 equals $900. All right, so let's break this down. So we got a $900 get. So let's say it took you 2 hours to find that business initially. Well, once you found them, you have them, if you learn the methods I'm trying to teach you. And from that point forward, you don't have to spend 2 hours each time to find that business. It's recurring business, okay? They're running out of those 150 pallets and they're ordering again. So that effort that you put in the beginning, that extra 2 hours of scouting to get to that business where you have that order for that one business, that happens over and over and over again. So we have a recurring weekly revenue based on that 2 hours of effort that happened possibly years ago, you know, because I have businesses now that I scouted in 98 and I still have them to this day. I didn't have to scout them over and over again. They're there, right? So the payoff for that 2 hours worth of work, even if, and sometimes it happens in 10 minutes, but let's just say as a general rule, it'll take you 2 hours to find a business that is a buyer for pallets and a supplier, okay? How much time does it take moving forward? So when I pull into that business, and we teach you the logistics and how to set this up to be very efficient in the training as well, but when I pull into a business and their forklift drivers coming out, it's all timed out, and they're loading my truck, well, that's 10, 12-minute process, right, to load the truck. Now, it takes me another 4 or 5 minutes to strap them down, or I have somebody to help me, whatever. You can do it either way. And then I'm pulling out, and the longer you work this business, the more efficient it becomes. So now my travel time is going to take me, for me, it takes me about 4 or 5 minutes to get to the buyer. Let's say in the beginning it takes you 30 minutes because you got to go across town and you're not quite as efficient as I am starting out. So, okay, an extra 30 minutes. As you keep working it, you will become more efficient because you're going to find suppliers and buyers closer to each other the more you work it. So I want to make that clear. So we got that 30-minute time frame. We've had a 10 to 12-minute loading time, 5 minutes for that. So we're at what? Close to an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Another 10 minutes, 6, 8 minutes really to unload the truck. It's real easy. They just take them off and unloading them. Another 5 minutes to write the invoice. So let's say, you know, around an hour's worth of work on a weekly basis for one order, we are making a $900 profit, okay? Let's double that in the beginning because you had to scout for an hour or two. So let's say 3 hours worth of work. You're still at $300 per hour. But then you become more efficient because you're not having to scouting the next week. They're ordering and you're doing the same process. So there's a baseline. But then let's talk about that same customer what do you think they put on these pallets? A lot of them need corrugated boxes, and they're buying from a company where they're being gouged on new boxes, right? They're paying $7, $8 a piece for brand new cardboard boxes. Well, we can source them lightly used, but perfectly good shape. And so let's go to the next example. You sell that same company, so you didn't even have to scout anymore. That same company would be using corrugated boxes. Like I said, slightly used. And instead of them paying $7 a piece new, they're going to pay me $4.25. So we teach you where to source this stuff as well. So there again, you have another weekly, or maybe it's every 2 weeks, of 200 corrugated boxes that they need to put their inventory in and then place it on the pallet, ship it out. So pallets and boxes are going out the door each week. So 200 times 425, clear, 200 times 4.25, you get at an $850. Yeah. $850. All right. Now it gets really neat. We do point A to point B in this business, right? But we also are going to run across situations where companies need custom built pallets. We don't want to build them. We want to keep our life simple. I call this the simplest biz. So, when we do brokering situations, whether we use pallets or even new pallets, the brokering, a lot of times there's larger quantities involved. Stuff that we don't want to either have to stockpile, or we're dealing with larger companies, but we can become the middleman for that. Okay, so let's talk about that money, because you'll understand in just a second how there's even less time involved in this once you get the initial setup done. So if we're brokering 500 custom built pallets, even if it's once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, regardless, and we are able to make a $3 profit on custom build on a certain, different sizes, because with custom build, our margins for markup is higher than if we were dealing with 1,000 standard pallets. Okay. So how much time does it take to make that happen? Again, I'll teach you in the course, maybe the initial thing you're going to have to source, it's going to take you a few hours to do that. But once you have that set up, you don't ever have to do that again. Okay. But then how much effort when these orders are coming in? It's a couple phone calls. But I'm not even having to leave the house to execute those orders moving forward. I'm just making a cut because I'm the middleman for it. And you would be as well if you're in the position of being a broker. So comparing this business model, the effort you have to put out in the beginning, that's such a huge payout. Are you going to have to spend a little bit more time in the beginning for scouting and me teaching you where to go and the businesses to deal with and what to say and all that? Yeah. But it doesn't have to be repeated ever again, because we have a recurring business model where it's recurring business over and over and over again. So you do the scouting once and reap the benefits for years, decades to come. Okay, so that's the payoff. Comparing that to a business where you are working 40 hours a week, as we stated a little while ago, we are very limited, and we're trading time for money. And in this model, we're trading units for money. And how fast can we move units to a buyer in short order? So here we are. We're going to compare the two. Pallet business with 2 customers, one ordering pallets, and the other one ordering corrugated boxes. We're just going to leave out the brokering aspect for the time being for this comparison. Pallet order $150 per week, $900. Box order ended up being $850 and a total of $1,750. Okay, time average once you got it set up, but just actually executing the order on a weekly basis over and over and over again, about 2 hours per week. So how many orders could you stack up within a week? We're just talking about 2 orders, taking a few hours out of your week. But there's a lot more business to be had, so you can stack these dollar amounts up even higher. And it's mind-boggling, and people go, but you're stuck in the mode of thinking of working by the hour and not by the unit. And that's how we multiply ourselves in this business versus the 40-hour work week at 18 bucks an hour, 25 bucks an hour, 30 bucks an hour, whatever. In this example, $18 is 720 bucks a week. 40-hour for an $800 salary, $1,000 salary, $1,200 salary, but working 40 hours if you're lucky instead of the amount of money in short order you can do it with the pallet business. You can see that the winner of this versus is the pallet business, hands down. And that's why I haven't worked for anybody for the last 23 years doing this business, 30 years doing the business I did before this as well. I know I can rely on myself to outperform in this business model anybody working a salary job, especially when it comes to quality of life that comes into play, time freedom that comes into play with this. Because, you know, we had students that execute a few orders a week, two, on a Wednesday and take the rest of the week off and live their life. So I hope this helped you, give you some clarity. Again, I'm going to repeat, thesimplestbiz.com, thesimplestbizforyou.com/info. That's FOR, the letter U.com/info. Are a couple places you can go to get more information. Look us up on YouTube as well if you're not already here, but you can actually go to the channel and see a lot of additional information. Look up The Simplest Biz on YouTube in the search bar, okay? I'm going to leave it there for now. Hope this has helped you, give you some clarity, and kind of help you understand these numbers the way you need to understand them, all right? Hopefully we talk soon. And I teach people how to run a pallet business, okay? I have a training course that does this. I want to teach you as well. All right, have a great one.